All right, everyone, I'm going to show you how to modify the metal zone. The modification we're going to be doing today is called the Sustainiac Mod with LED clipping. I'm going to show you step by step how to do the modification. Then we'll demo the pedal before and after, stock and modified. Then at the end of the video, I will show you how to modify the metal zone to be true bypass, which is a little tricky, so we're going to save that for the end of the video. Okay, to do the Sustainiac mod, all you need are two LEDs, a 0.047 UF capacitor, a 0.1 UF capacitor, and you'll need two of these capacitors. These are 0.01 UF. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to remove these two capacitors right here, which is C35 and C34. All right, yours should look blank like that. We're going to take our 0.047 capacitor and we're going to put it in the C34 spot. All right, yours should look like that. We're not going to put anything in C35. We're going to leave that blank. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to remove these two capacitors, which is, what is that, C24 and C25. All right, next what we're going to do is we're going to take our 0.01 capacitor and we're going to put it in C25 right there. And again, we're going to leave C24 completely blank. All right, yours should look like that. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to remove this capacitor right here, C23, and we're going to replace the C23 with a 0.01 UF capacitor. Like that. All right, so yours should look like that. Okay, the last capacitor is going to be C7 right here. We're going to remove that capacitor and we're going to replace it with the 0.1 UF capacitor. Like that. All right, yours should look like that, C7. Okay, and for the last part, right here in the middle of the board, we're going to remove those two silicon diodes, D4 and D3. Okay, we're going to replace those diodes with LEDs. I used red LEDs in this case. When you're looking at an LED, there's a long stem and a short stem. The long stem is the positive and the short stem is the negative. When we put it back in D4 and D3, we want to make sure that these are the opposite from each other. So in D4, there's like a plus symbol almost on the right side. I'm going to put my long lug through that side. Okay. The long lug is on that plus side on the right. And when I get my second LED, I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to put the long lug, well, it's not the opposite. The LEDs are going to be opposite from each other. We're going to put the positive long in to the left side where that plus symbol was. Like that. All right, the LEDs are in place. All the capacitors are now in. Let's hear what it sounds stock and the modification version. All right, this is the True Bypass mod for the metal zone. This is a tricky mod to do. The wiring is not that hard. The tricky part is cutting a hole to make space for the True Bypass switch. The first thing we're going to do is unsolder the original momentary switch and disassemble the pedal. After you unsolder the switch, there's two clips here on the sides. You'll need to push those in. All right, after you disassemble the whole circuit, we're just going to put that aside. This is the tricky part. For the location of our True Bypass switch, I drilled a pilot hole right in between the E and the T, kind of lower than the middle, if you can see that. That's where our True Bypass switch is going to go. Now, in the inside, to make space, what I did is I took a step bit and I drilled two big holes right here, and I used a file to square off all the edges. So if you can open up this hole and drill a hole here for the True Bypass switch, the rest is going to be easy. Okay, I just drilled a hole there, the size of our True Bypass switch. Next, I'm going to show you how to prepare the True Bypass switch and how to do the True Bypass mod. All right, to do the True Bypass mod, you're going to need a True Bypass foot switch and a 1K resistor. This is how I prep the switch. We're going to put a jumper wire on the bottom outside lugs. On the left side, I have a 3-inch blue wire on the center left lug and a 3-inch blue wire on the top left lug. On the right side, I have a 3-inch green wire on the center right lug, and I have a 3-inch wire on the top right lug, but there is also a jumper wire that goes from that top right lug to the bottom center lug right here. Okay, the first thing we're going to do on the circuit board is we're going to remove Q5 right there. We're going to remove Q5 and we're going to leave it completely blank. Next we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and cut the power terminal off for the battery. We're going to remove the purple wire, and we're going to remove the red wire. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the red wire right around here and remove the orange wire. I'm going to attach the orange wire to the red wire. All right, it's attached like that. And I'm going to put some heat shrink over it. Now we're going to detach the green wire. Okay, on the green wire, we're going to put a 1K resistor in line with another wire. All right, it should look something like that. Try to get it in focus. Can't do it. We're going to put some heat shrink on that as well. Okay, now the other end of the red wire is going to get attached to J10. We're going to attach it to this jumper right here. All right, so the wire should be attached to J10 just like that. All right, next we're going to get the switch and unsolder the right jack here, this white wire. We're going to remove that white wire, and the center green wire from the switch is going to go on the jack. Like that. Now the top green wire from the switch is gonna go to that white wire that we removed. Make sure to put your heat shrink in before you do solder it. All right, that green wire is now attached to the white. We'll heat shrink it. And we're gonna do the same to the jack on the left. We're gonna remove that white wire, and from the switch, the center blue wire is gonna be going to the jack. Like that. And again, the top blue wire is gonna go to this white wire that we removed. Make sure to put your heat shrink in before you solder it. Okay, for the last part, we're gonna take this black wire that we cut off. We're going to put that in the center lug of the foot switch. Right there. And the purple wire that we have soldered to the resistor and green wire is going to go on the top center lug. All right, it is true bypass. All that's left to do is to assemble and test. All right, let's test it out. All right, this is the finalized version. I made this one for a customer. This one has a purple relic paint job. The true bypass switch has a purple ring light. I moved the clipping diode up here at the top so you can see the diode react to your guitar playing. I'm going to do a follow-up video of me just playing guitar riffs through this pedal.